"Watson!" he exclaimed. "He is here at last, a man who can see, observe, and infer." And turning back to our client, he said, "My practice is building up again, though you are certainly right to deduce that my burden is light at present." "And when did you arrive here from the Middle East?" he asked. "The manner of weaving clothes in one piece, without a seam, is much more common there than anywhere else, though I note from frequent repairs you have made to it, that your garment has been in possession for some time, and, from the nature of the thread used to make the repairs, that they were carried out in England."
"I feel a feint and strike as expert as mine. Indeed, your powers are in line with your reputation, and are almost without parallel among those I have known," responded our visitor, clearly impressed by Holmes's own inference. "The robe is the last thing I acquired before I left the Middle East, and that was indeed many years ago."
"And what brings you here?" asked Holmes. "You surely have not taken the trouble to come here just to demonstrate your powers of observation and deduction, however unusual they are. Why do you want to consult with me?"
"I am an old man," said our visitor. "When I was young, I became a devotee of a man of religion, whom I followed until he was taken prisoner, put on trial, and executed in the most gruesome fashion imaginable. I was one of his 12 followers. The other 11 of these have all been put to death in the years that followed the execution of our leader, and I am the only one left."
"I believe I recall the man you are referring to," said Holmes, furrowing his brow in thought. "Indeed, I have read accounts of his life from 3 of his followers. I believe their first names were Matthew, Mark, and Luke, though I was never aware of their family names. It is indeed unusual to have as many as 3 witnesses who write in such detail of the same events. Their accounts have a striking unity, especially since they appear to have been written down some time after the events that they describe. Mark has the shortest tale to tell, and it is clear that the other 2 writers draw heavily on his writings for their own works, although they do have a quantum of their own sources as well. There was a mystery, if I remember correctly, about what happened to your leader's remains after his execution."
"Matthew and Mark were the leader's close followers, and Luke was a historian and doctor who became involved in our movement after our leader had departed. You are right to say their versions of events after our leader's death are confusing. It is rather ironic that since their accounts of our leader's life were published, they have come to be known as synoptic, though this is probably because they gave the same views and not because they offer any particular insights. None of them even claim to have been present during the events that took place before, during, and after our leader's death, and they disagree on important details of what happened. Matthew mentions an earthquake, but the others don't. They don't even agree on how many people went to the tomb or who they were."
"So what do you know about what happened that they do not?"
"I was there," intoned our curious visitor proudly, raising himself to his full height and drawing the words out in his excitement. "My name is John, and I was the man closest to our leader. I was there when he was executed. I was there when his tomb was found empty, and I was there when he reappeared."
"Perhaps, then," said Holmes, "you might explain why you are not mentioned in the accounts left behind by so-called synoptic writers of the event you mention."
"What has already been written by the synoptic writers is written and cannot be changed. But the elimination of my name from the records is something I am about to remedy. Our leader told us to go out into the whole world and preach his teachings. Since then, I have traveled the world, preaching about our leader and his works, as I thought that was the best way to follow his instruction. As this is not something I can do for much longer, I have now decided it is time to write down my recollections of events. These writings," and here he held up an unprepossessing notebook, "set out these recollections."
"So why do you wish to consult with me?"
asked Holmes again. "You and your